This is The Front Stretch on AM 590. Brought to you by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Well, we're nearing the end of our show. Another one down the drain. Signal getting a signal of one to go from the flag man. This is turn 4. Salvaged by Kaziski Auto Parts. Looking for quality used parts to get your car or truck back on the road? Give an experienced salesperson a call today at Kaziski Auto Parts at 731-4592. Give Andrew or one of the experienced salespeople a call today on Team PRP. You can also stop by 50th and I Street. Team PRP, premium recycled parts, means when you buy a part from Koziski Auto Parts that it's going to be of quality and it's not going to be broken down and back in the shop in a couple of days.
You know, I was actually there the other day.
I'm not surprised.
You know, I was actually there. I was actually looking at a part from my truck, and I got to tell you, Andrew, when you walk up, I think it was Gary down there told me, he goes, well, walk up there, you'll see a white Dodge. He told me what year, what color it was, if it was 2-door, 4-door. You go up there, and if you ever go to some of these junkyards, like you pull it, and I'm not calling Kaziski Auto Parts a junkyard. It is a premium salvage yard.
It's a premium recycled parts
this is
facility.
why I'm calling you pull it a junkyard. You go up there, and they've got floor mats and everything. The car's tore apart. It's like the front clip's halfway down the aisle. You go to Kaziski Auto Parts, it's clean, it's organized, it's laid out, and what I really like, it's all on concrete, so you ain't got to walk through a bunch of mud and destroy your clothes. Yeah, it is really, really nice.
I've always understood that about you pull it, is that you walk in there, you pay your fee to get in, and then it's basically just thrown to the wolves. But as far as Kaziski Auto Parts is concerned, you walk up to a desk, you tell them what you need, and you guys track it down. You'll even go and get it off the car for them. So.
Correct, yeah, that's what we do. We're our full service. We usually don't like to let too many people out in the yard. We know Bud, though, so he's got a little special.
I'm surprised since you knew Bud, you still let him out there. We'll have to have a conversation with Gary.
Yeah.
How's the sale of AC compressors going right now?
Well, you know, they're hot right now, and if anybody hears this, then give me a call this week, and I'll give you a lifetime warranty on any air compressor. You give me a call and say you heard me on the front stretch. I know there's a few of you guys out there that call me and say, listen to this, so you better take this now. Ask all your buddies who wants a lifetime warranty on a compressor. I'll give it to you.
I might just go and buy me a couple and start a little bit of a side business.
Oh, there you go.
I'll find somebody on the side of the road, say, you need an air compressor? Or you need an AC compressor?
Creeper.
So this is...
Opens up his raincoat. I got AC compressors.
Fully clothed still. This is turn 4, and we're going to talk with Andrew Kaziski in the infield report right now. Guys, temperatures have been absolutely horrid lately, and I got to wonder if maybe this doesn't have a little bit to do with our next conversation. We're going to talk about issues in the pits as far as drivers getting a little bit too heated, and then some retaliation on track and after the races. I know that the tracks that I've been around this year, I've gone and watched a lot of racing this season in my first dirt track season. I didn't see it a lot at the beginning of the season, but it's definitely present now. And I every time something breaks out, I remember thinking to myself, the very first time you and I talked about dirt track, and I said, is there a lot of drama in the dirt track? Oh, no, we're all friends. And
I cannot believe you even said
Bud
that.
doing the eternal thing he does. He does not talk bad about anything. He's always the most positive person, and every time I see a fight break out, I think, no, we're all good friends. Such good friends, you guys have been ramming your faces into your fists.
Yeah.
So guys, talk to me a little bit about it. You got the history in the sport. I've only been in it for years, so I can't really talk about as far as what I've experienced, but is it simply having to do with the fact that points are coming down to close, or is it because it's hotter than hell and people get a little cranky when it's hot?
It's both right now, yeah. And I mean, I've been in the situation a couple of times. I've seen my dad. My dad hasn't personally been in. I've seen people racing against. When you hit the middle of the season, really, it's a little over halfway done right now. You think about it. Everybody is extremely hot, and people are. I mean, the car counts are down right now because nobody really wants to go. I mean, after you've wrecked a couple times, you can't afford to keep going. You worked all day at work. You're sweating hot. Everything's done. And right now, the people that are left running, they get wrecked one time. They're just ready to go rumble with somebody because they've had it with everything. And you'll see a lot of guys, like I said, they'll quit coming back to the races, and eventually they'll start coming back here at the end of the season, the middle of August, and run the last 2-3 nights. And you're going to see car counts get bigger, and that's because all these guys their tempers have went down, and everything's back to the friendly way again of racing.
Well, yeah, and I have to agree quite a bit with Andrew. I've been driving behind the wheel, not as good as Andrew, but behind the wheel a little bit longer than Andrew. And the one thing I've always noticed, at the one track that I race, we have 13 weeks. And the other track that I race at, we have 16 shows. Well, on the track that I race 13 weeks, I think we've got 3 or 4 weeks left on the one night. So now the top 10 in points, we're going to be driving a little bit harder. But it doesn't help that we're driving when it's 100 105 degrees outside, because inside the cars, we're probably, what'd you think, Andrew, 115, 120 in those suits? We're nasty, we're tired, we're anxious to get out of the car to go cool off. So not only that, but then when you compound that with us trying to get the track points to be top 10 to get those track checks at the end of the year, that's just a combo for success. Now, the other track, it was no secret. I took 2 weeks off, and a lot of people were emailing me, where you been? I bet you this last Saturday night, I ain't kidding you, I bet you I had 25 texts. Where are you? Where are you? Well, it's not that I don't want to run, but just like Andrew mentioned, you get 1 or 2 weeks where it's constantly somebody beating or banging into you. It's like, why spend the money? You don't want to go race, or you want to go race. You don't want to have to drive through an obstacle course. And so we decided to take a couple weekends off. I wanted to go see the Silver Dollar Nationals, taking my dad to that. I had some family issues.
That reminds me, where's your dad been? He hasn't been to Crawford the last couple of weeks. Is it because of the heat you've been keeping him out of there?
It's solely because of the heat.
Yeah,
I absolutely will not let my dad go to the races when it's this hot.
And, another thing is we can't blame this on the tracks either, but when it gets these conditions like this, where it could be 79 one day and 105 the next, it's hard to keep a track condition great.
Yeah.
And when the track's bad, drivers are mad. They're driving over their head. They hit the holes. They're wrecking into each other. Well, then this guy's going to go hit this guy, all because basically Mother Nature ruined it. The track didn't. The drivers didn't. But, it's just how it gets.
You have a good point, but I'm trying to look at this from all different sides, and to be fair, when the track rubbers down or goes extremely dry slick, some drivers don't like that. Some drivers like a heavy track, but sometimes some of these tracks really have to look at the driving. We all want to race, but I'm a big fan in believing that the drivers still like to have a little bit of organization and a little bit of structure right there. We want the structure. The last thing you want is to go to a track where everybody's driving over their heads and taking cars out when the track officials, I'm not saying they're not going to do nothing about it, but they're pretty light about it. So, the drivers need to respect themselves, but at the same time, the officials have to man up and say, okay, look, screw it, I don't care who you are. It is what it is. You're black flagged. The track officials have to take a little bit of responsibility. So, and so do the drivers.
Well, we weren't going to try to name any tracks, but I know from experience last Friday night there was a lot of black flagging going on at Crawford. There was a lot of drivers that were driving just a little bit too hot, and so they sent them to the pits to cool down. And maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but I tell you what, it has been blazing hot the last couple of weeks.
I think if you were to seriously see the temperatures dive down into like the low 70s, nice cool breeze on a Friday night or a Saturday night, Sunday night, wherever you're racing, I think you have 2 or 3 weeks of that. You're going to see the anxiety and the frustration levels come down because it's a little bit more enjoyable that night.
Well, and the other thing is that, it's not as hot when you guys start racing. Usually flag time is between 6:30 and 7:30 for most tracks in this area.
7:30.
By that time, the sun's going down. The temperatures have come from, typically 95, 97. They've started to trickle down to closer to the 80s. So it's not as hot, but still, like Andrew said, when you've been sitting out in the heat all day long, your fuse just gets a lot shorter. And so one little bump from the back, one nudge in the quarter panel can set you off, right?
You're a firecracker ready to go off.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that the drivers could honestly do, and not to be a health nut here, I think the one thing that the drivers can really do to help their situation, and when they help their situation, and you have a lot of them doing that, it's going to help the entire situation at the track level. Make sure you drink plenty of water.
When you talk about hydrating, you're talking about a 3-4 day process and drinking a minimum of a gallon a day. And then at that time, it'll fully hydrate you, and you'll be ready to go for that night. They were talking about at Sonoma for the NASCAR guys that they actually started, a lot of the NASCAR drivers don't drink a beer starting the Saturday before. They won't drink a single beer, and all they'll do is drink Gatorade and water for the next 8-9 days because Sonoma is such a grueling, tasking race because it's hot. You're turning left and right, not just left. You're turning left and right, and it's such a long. It's a longer race. So they talk about how right in the middle of summer, it's in California. It's hot as hell. It's in the cars 145. 140, 145 is your typical temperature, so they prep 8 days to 9 days in advance for that race. You guys on the dirt track level, you got to do the same thing. At 3 to 4 days ahead of time, you got to start chugging water like you wouldn't believe.
Usually on by Thursday night, I'm the car's loaded. I'm sitting inside in the AC. I got the AC cranked down to about 68 degrees inside the house. It's ice cold, and I'm drinking water. And that way, drivers, keep yourself cool, keep yourself hydrated. You'll feel a lot better when you get to the dirt track. And then, when you get those nudges and rubs and bumps and stuff like that and the bump drafting going on, you won't be so quick to get hot under the collar. But, I said this here a few weeks back on the front stretch. We're not in NASCAR. It's not like we're running for $400,000 to win.
I tell you what, some of these drivers, though, you wouldn't be able to convince them of that.
No.
Because they take their $100, $200, $300 check very seriously.
We're all competitive, and yes, we're all out there to win. But, keep your mind in the game. You don't need to go out there and be beating and banging off others' cars. Give each other room. At the same time, track officials, make sure you're watching what's going on at the races. That's all we're asking.
So it'll be interesting to see how it works out over the next several weeks, because I know that from what I saw in the 10-day forecast as of Wednesday, there's no break in the forecast for us. It's middle to upper 90s for the next 10 freaking days.
I was actually informed this morning that they're actually now expecting this heat wave. While we might have some cooler days, generally the heat wave is now expected to last all the way through the first week of September.
Oh, God, that's just horrible. I
was just getting ready to ask you, do you really notice it when you're actually out there focused on driving?
There's only one time I've ever noticed anything, and I sneezed in the middle of a race. One time I sneezed, and it was the craziest thing ever because I spit all over my
And you don't
visor.
have a tear off on the inside.
No, that was the only thing that was ever crazy.
I had something similar to that. Everybody knows I like to chew my skull. So before I go out in the race, I put a dip in, and I'm going down the front straightaway onto yellow. I flip my helmet open to keep kind of cool. I was like, what the hell? I spit my skull right out the front of the helmet. Well, yeah, the car's still going forward, so when I spit, it came right back at me. And I was like, that was a fail.
On that note, let's wrap it up. The green-white checkered is out. The boys in the NASCAR circuit are off this weekend, but they're going to be prepping for the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And I want to get the name of this race right. It's the Crown Royal Presents Name Your Hero Here Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I do not want to pay for the marketing of that race because you pay by the letter.
You know what's interesting? Crown Royal drops Kenseth. Crown Royal sponsors a race.
Next week, we're going to work on getting our driver. We don't have anybody confirmed yet, but working on Jesse Sobbing, trying to get him in here to talk to us about his season. I can see the love coming from Bud's eyes right now. His
jaw just dropped, and he just about fell over.
Jesse's coming in. Where are you guys racing at this weekend as coming up the 20th? I'm sorry, it'd be the 27th.
28th, yep.
Crawford again for you, bud?
I'm going to Crawford County. We're sitting 5th in points now, so we're trying to make a run for there. And then Saturday night, we're bringing the brand spanking new car, the Prowler, out to Eagle
Raceway. You guys finally got it done?
Yeah, that thing has been, I don't care if I get dead last. I'm just glad to get that thing out of the garage.
No kidding. You've been talking about it since you bought it about a year ago.
I know.
Let me test one of them. I mean, you got two of them. Let me run one.
I want somebody that can finish in the top 10.
Okay. He'd be...
I'd have to get Jesse or Jace or Justin Zeitner or somebody.
Get my little cousin out there. He's on a tear right now.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I'd put him in it.
You still said you'd let me drive your car, so I got to take you up on that one of these days.
I got a Hot Wheels at home you can drive.
Andrew, where are you running? McCool and I-80 again?
I think just I-80 McCool. I haven't checked the schedule. I might be going somewhere else. You never know about me.
All right, so that's going to do it. Thanks again to Jace Kaiser for sitting down and talking with us this morning on his plans for the future and how his season's laying out. Join us on the Front Stretch Facebook page. You can get all of the shows recasted on there, podcasted on there. By the way, great picture you sent us last week. We'll have to post that on the Facebook page. So get over to the Facebook page. It's the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting. You can also check out our Sling and Dirt, which is our all dirt track segment that's updated every Thursday morning. And we update all the local points for the Nebraska tracks and the Iowa tracks. And we talk everything that is pertaining to the dirt track series. So we're able to get a lot more of it in on that show, and we're able to get it in a timely manner. So Facebook page, the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting. So get over there and become a fan of us. This has been the Front Stretch for myself, Dan Taylor, my good friends Andrew Kaziski and Buddy Ray. Thank you for joining us.
Humanitarian.
We'll see you at the track.